Tuesday and stand with our brothers and sisters during this time across the nation and around the world. So we went ahead and recorded later at a later time so you guys can enjoy last week's episode today. We got some great guests for you. Check it out. But also, we encourage you to go check out blacklivesmatter.com to get more information where you can donate, participate, how to help, or just to get information and educate yourself. So we encourage you to check it out. Thank you so much.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world. Now your hope and compassion is gone. You've sold out your dream to the world. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead. You're dead and out of this world.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of What We Do Before the Shadows. I'm your host, Harvey Guillen, the show that we do for you guys, the fans. That's right. You're the ones we're here for. So I'm really excited because my guest coming up is the magic man, the man behind the curtain, the man, the keeper of the gates, the keeper of everything. Please give it up for Mr. Paul Sims.
Hello, Harvey. Harvey, when I said I was going to come on this show, as you know, I said I wanted my episode to be very special. So I really worked hard and I got in touch with Ben Harris from Allison Jones Casting, and I tracked down your old audition tape, and then I emailed your producer and I said, I've got such a great surprise for Harvey. I'm going to send it over, but don't let him know I want to surprise him. And then she said, oh yeah, Felicia Day already showed the audition tape.
Yeah, you got beaten by one episode. It literally was just here. And
How did you find it? It was hard even for Ben Harris to find it.
It was, well, you know, she's got connections, and also she flipped the script.
Was the connection you? Did you have it?
She flipped the script on me, and she showed me videos that I didn't want anyone to see, actually, I'll have you know. There's an audition video, and there is a commercial that I did, my first commercial ever.
What was it for?
I'm not gonna go down that lane again.
Is it in the Felicia Day episode?
Yeah, it's in the Felicia Day episode. I will tell you this, I'm in a giant cheeseburger.
Oh, that's cool. Has Yana, as our editor and director Yana Gorskaya done her episode yet?
Nope, they're coming up soon.
Oh, good. Well, she has some treats for you.
Okay, I'm excited.
I almost stole from her, but then I figured I had the audition tape. I didn't need to steal any of the special footage that she had. Anyway.
Actually, I'll let you know this, that we showed one of the scenes, but I remember auditioning with like 7 different scenes. So
we can show all of them if you want. Sure.
Well, there you go, guys. We might have to insert an audition here. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the audition process, because I know it was very long. That audition process was long to get all the cast in the show.
It was, and we did this town hall video chat the other night, you and me and all the cast and Stephanie for the FX people, and it was funny because in my mind, if you'd asked me, I would have said you were cast like we could not find Guillermo, and you were cast 2 days before we started shooting. But you said it was like 2 weeks. I thought it was like the very, very last minute.
I think the official word was 2 or 3 days before we started shooting, because I didn't get a call from Jermaine and Taika until like probably Sunday of MLK weekend, and we started filming like that Wednesday or something. Yeah. So it was 2 days before we started filming. I still hadn't heard about I was in a test with Kayvon. That's what I heard. Never got a call, an email, nothing. And so on a Sunday when they called me and they said, we'll see you on set, like I had to go to a costume fitting like Tuesday, like 24 hours later, costume fitting, and go
straight. There's too many details for me. Come on, man. Come on. Let's pick up the pace. I will say one thing about your audition, going back and looking at those tapes, was Guillermo, you played in your audition, you played Guillermo much quieter and more meek, which was interesting.
Yeah.
It worked.
It worked. I remember just wanting to be so subtle with Guillermo that it was barely a whisper coming out of his mouth, because I'm usually like over the top, and I'm a character actor, and I like love theater and Broadway and to the back of the theater. And with this, I was just like, keep it grounded, must pull it to, and I think it really worked. And when I saw that actual clip, I reminded myself that I had just shaved, and so I looked younger. So if you look closely, I put like fake stubble.
That I didn't know.
I used a sponge and just did like an eyeliner on it, and then did like a pirate thing, and no one knows
That's
that.
dedication. That's dedication to your craft, and
I didn't talk about it, only with you.
now
But
everyone.
something interesting that I found, is this true? Maybe this isn't true, but you spent most of your childhood living in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia?
That is true. Yeah, when I was born in California, and then my parents were school teachers. So when I was 3, we moved to Pakistan. We lived there for 4 years, and then I lived in Saudi Arabia pretty much till high school. And then then after that, I went back to Saudi Arabia I went out to a boarding school in Santa Barbara, and I would go back to Saudi Arabia for my Christmas and summer breaks. Yeah.
Wow. What was that? Like, what was that like experience like? Just
It did not seem unusual at the time because I was 3 years old when we went overseas, but I loved it. I mean, in Pakistan, we lived in Karachi, and we lived in a neighborhood across the street from the American school. And so that was more like living with everyone in Pakistan. In Saudi Arabia, my parents worked for the oil company, so we lived in imagine a small American town picked up, set in the middle of the desert with a fence around it and a huge refinery on one side, and then desert as far as you can see or go in every direction beyond that.
That sounds like a set. Like it sounds like someone just put a set in the middle of the desert.
Yes, it was. It was like that movie Pleasantville or something, except in the middle of the desert.
How did you get into showbiz? Like, what was the thing that drew you into like showbiz?
My first job, I really wanted to, just because of when I started watching TV and stuff. The David Letterman show was like the most amazing thing to me in the world, and that was always my dream, was to write there. And then after college, I wrote for a magazine called Spy Magazine. That was a very funny magazine. And then I got a chance to write for Letterman, and everything else has been just, icing on the cake.
How did you meet Jermaine? Is that when you worked on Flight of the Conchords?
That was, when I worked on Flight of the Conchords. They had that whole pilot, the whole Flight of the Conchords pilot done and shot, and it was really good. And it was actually an assistant at HBO sent it to me and said, "You really got to watch this." And they're looking for, I guess they said they're looking for someone American. Just, I don't know why, because they had everything they needed. I think the reason I got that job is because when I met with James Bobin and Jermaine and Brett, I was like, "You guys don't need me. This show's good enough already." And I think that was the fact that I didn't seem to want it made Jermaine less suspicious of an outsider coming in.
We have actual clip of that. Let's throw that clip.
Oh, it's hilarious. Oh, you got to see this, Brett. It's so funny.
What's happened?
Well, the guys with the suits are putting on this big show now, and everyone's just loving it. No, don't move it. Don't move it. You got to be in exactly the right place.
It's your turn to hold it, man. My arms are sore.
I can't hold it. I'm in the middle of a movie. It's a critical point. Oh, ruin the reception. Do you want anything from the minibar?
No, we're not allowed stuff from the minibar.
Yeah, I know, but...
Jermaine, do not get anything from the minibar. Don't get anything.
I've just got some mixed nuts. It's all right. I've already taken it out.
Completely forgot about it. I directed that episode, and I completely forgot how hard it was to be in that actual hotel and figure out how to drop a full TV out the window without hurting anybody.
Was that not green screen? Were you really in a hotel?
That was a real hotel by the airport, and there was a really tall scissor lift with some very brave grips on it about half a floor below to catch the TV when it came out. That was the Flight of the Conchords. Part of the fun of it was that it was a very low budget show, and we did the best we could with what we had. I mean, I know our Shadows seems sort of lowish budget sometimes, but on Conchords we were really improvising, not just improvising acting with the actors, but just trying to figure out how to get things done the cheapest and fastest way.
Would you say the improvising ratio is probably the same with Shadows and Concord?
It's probably the same. Conchords might have been a little more because Brett and Jermaine were those characters already, and they were so involved in the writing, and sometimes they would just go off forever. And also there was sort of a pace to Conchords that was very, in a funny way, repetitive, like, you know, Jermaine, yes, Brett, yes, Jermaine, yes, Brett, you know, and so there was easy for them to get and they had such a rhythm also. But you guys have a rhythm. I think also Concord's was a little looser with sometimes the stories were the thinnest of, you could almost not call it a story. It was a thread that sort of held the songs and the parts together. And I think we tell more stories on Shadows, you know.
I feel like we have such great freedom with like improvising on set, like on Shadows. But I mean, this season, the storylines, like, you know, for Nandor and Guillermo have been really nice, and like the audience has really loved that. Like, well, this last episode that just aired was kind of people teary-eyed about it just because of that.
I believe I emailed you and Kayvon about that episode when I was editing it, because I thought that was, some of those scenes in there were some of my favorite of the season, especially when Guillermo goes and says that he's quitted, that he has a better offer, and he's hoping Nandor will say no, stay, and Nandor.
I mean, this clip right here.
Oh yeah.
Are you going to be all right without me?
Yes, I'll be fine. Thankfully, Benji has returned. And Benji is the best familiar I've ever had. So everything will be okay.
A-okay.
O-A-K.
A-okay.
As I said.
Well, thank you. I learned a lot from you.
You're being stupid.
What was that?
Nothing. Oh, I didn't say anything.
Okay, then.
Yep, I love it. I love that scene, and when the only sort of ritual part I have of all this, when and we're still editing the shows, is when I do sit down and watch it on TV with my wife, who I don't let see or read any of it beforehand, and to see, what would we call her, a normal person? How a normal person sees it, or someone who's never seen it before, and that scene, she was like, "Oh no, he's not leaving. Is he coming back?" I'm like, "Just keep watching the episode."
Why do you think that dynamic between them is like has really tugged at people's like heartstrings?
Because I think it was obvious from the beginning that Guillermo idolizes and loves Nandor, and I think in this season, as we've gotten further into it, it's a surprise and very satisfying to see that Nandor really values Guillermo and can't really admit it to himself. And in that episode, when he's sort of forced to acknowledge it, I mean, Nandor goes through such a range of emotions in that episode. He's like, this effing guy, and I did everything for him, and then I think I just need to go check on him, and then he's saying, Guillermo, come back. I just think it's fun. I mean, it's a show about insane, silly stuff and vampires, but those were like real moments in a way that didn't feel overly, am I boring you?
He's like, move on.
Yes,
I think that take though was the only one, because it wasn't scripted that Guillermo cries, but I really felt teary-eyed when I left that room in that take, and that was the take that you guys ended up using, which was nice because I wasn't sure, but I was like, it could go either way, because he could leave angry and leave upset.
No, we had all different versions, but I mean, that's also the fun for me, is a lot of times when we're shooting, I'm working on the next episode or scouting, and you guys are on your own down there, and it is so much fun watching the dailies and watching the rough cuts and everything, and seeing stuff that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah, and bloopers. I can't wait to see all our bloopers. Like, we just have probably hours.
It's hard because someone asked us once if we wanted to put together a blooper reel, and we're like, we have some, but it's a show where everyone's always sort of on the verge of laughing anyway. So there's not that, you know, and I also feel like watching some of the things that look like bloopers is, if someone, I was watching one the other day where it's when Laszlo accuses you of making a fart.
A breakfast burrito.
Yeah, the breakfast burrito, and accusing you of letting off a Tommy squeaker or whatever, and you, Harvey, started cracking up, and Nandor just stayed right in the scene. He's like, "This is not. You think this is funny? This is not a funny thing. Go and make a shit, please. Get out of here." So when anything that could also be a blooper, it seems like everyone sort of rolls with it and incorporates it. So.
I try to be really good about, like, I try not to break just because I'm always like in character when I'm on set, but it's like hard because like, also this goes back to like just the, you know, like you said, everyone's chemistry, but like I never had a chemistry with the Kayvon, and that could have probably gone really south, you know, like if it was like, what if we met and we just didn't have chemistry? Because I've never met anyone that I can bounce off so well. Like Kayvon's such a giving actor. Like, he's like, oh man, yeah, man, what do you want to try? Everything. And I think because of that, it makes it so feel like it's been lived, like this life for a decade has been established.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but I was just thinking about that. We just broke when we were doing that commercial. You weren't there for the commercial shoot, I think, but we're shooting a commercial and he did a finger thing and it was this whole thing. And
is that the FX promotional commercial? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was we had like 6 minutes to shoot it, and it was just like we broke character like at the end, and we just couldn't shoot it. Okay, I'm gonna move on to some fan questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm always ready.
All right, this one comes from Joester Farr. How do you make a decision to go ahead with an idea for an episode?
We talk about it as writers. My daughter is slightly off screen, pointing at the big board, which Harvey cannot see, and don't read anything on it to him aloud.
I got some ideas, and I'll pitch them to you guys.
There's a big board full of the ideas for next season. I mean, we basically, initially, we come up with 3 times as many ideas as we need, and it's a combination of things. I'd say half of them are ideas that make us laugh, and half of them we go, that would be a good sort of dramatic story, and we're going to do the funny version of that. And then we just talk about them and talk about them and talk about them until we're so exhausted that we go, all right, screw it, let's just write them. And then,
I mean, you guys are really good about not telling us. Like, there's some things that I didn't even know for my character until like the day we show up to table reads, which makes the show feel like it's a real documentary crew following us, because I said for the first season, and we shoot out of order. So sometimes you're shooting episode 3 and 6, and then in episode 6, you have a car that's covered with blood. And I'm like, why is he driving a car now? And it's like, it happened in 5. We can't talk about it.
Oh, good. This is good. So I'll quote you on this in the future when you're like, can I see the next script? And I'm like, no, Harvey, you can't look at it yet. I'll say, Harvey.
No, I would like to see how I got there, because for an actor, sometimes it's hard because you're like, I'm shooting episode 6, but I don't know what happened in 5. You know what I mean?
You can always ask.
It does keep us on our toes. So I got to give you credit for that. It does. Okay, this next joke comes from Giardio. What was your favorite joke or moment you wrote from any of your episodes?
Oh, gosh. There's so many, but by the time I get to editing, I can't remember which ones I wrote and which ones were improvised and which ones someone else wrote. I was thinking of one the other night, and it was so vulgar. Well, fans of the show, when Benji, the old familiar, is there talking to Guillermo about his bedroom and the pillow in particular, and I think you'll all know what I'm talking about. Good.
It was an old pillow.
Yeah, it was very old and well-used pillow. Yes.
Yeah, it was really great. I like that scene with Benji. He was great.
He was really funny.
This question comes from saccharine.scream.machine, and they ask, will Naja ever have a lesbian love interest? Asking for a friend.
I think she probably already has had at least 200 or 300 of them, but maybe actually seen one from this documentary crew, possibly. I mean, every character on this show is completely polysexual and fluid and everything. And I think, I think there's in the episode that's coming up, this next episode, I think there's a very funny ending that sort of addresses that. Whatever. I don't know if to hype it. It's just a very funny.
No, people will discover it. Don't give it away. This question comes from Ripid Shao, and it's an article by The Advocate quoted you promising 2 counts of vampiric gay activity this season. Can we expect those in the last 2 episodes? And did Laszlo and his ghost count as 1?
I would say Laszlo and his ghost did count as 1.
But you're right, tonight's episode also counts as 1.
I would say tonight's episode counts as 1 also. Yeah, I mean, well, but Laszlo I guess that person could make a good argument that was an act between Laszlo and himself. So maybe not. I don't know. That's a question for the ages.
I think you answered it. I think there's many stories like that cover that avenue. So, okay, now we're going to play a little game on the show that's brand new. It's called Name That Musical.
Now hold on. I hope these go like Rent and pre-90s musicals. Whatever.
It's time to play Name That Musical. Okay, we're gonna play you a clip of me singing a musical, and you have to guess it. It's a cappella because we couldn't get the rights. So here we go.
Come
Clip
on,
one.
babe, why don't we paint the town? Do-do-do-do. And all that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down. Do-do-do-do. And all that jazz.
Well, of course, the dumb person would say, would think of the movie about the life of Bob Fosse, as played by Roy Scheider, called All That Jazz. But
Mhm.
I think that came from Chicago.
That's right, Candor F. Chicago. Good job.
One.
Oh, all right. Moving on to the next one. Next clip, please.
If you want to cross the bridge, my sweet, you've got to pay the toll. Take a gulp and take a breath and go ahead and sign that scroll. Fats and Jetsons, now I got it, boys. The boss is on a roll with these poor, unfortunate souls.
You guys heard that one before? By the density of the words and sort of the context, I don't know, but I'm going to guess Into the Woods. Or can I take a second guess?
What's your second guess?
Wicked?
I'll give you 8.
8 get. Is that a hint?
Yeah.
Is it from
Maybe I Live Underwater.
The Little Mermaid?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. Why didn't you guys get that? All right, good.
And yes, that's exactly right. But we'll give you the point, even though it was your children that guessed it correctly.
Thank you.
All right, next one.
I get out here, Buenos Aires, stand back. You want to know what you're going to get in me? Just a little touch of star quality.
Well, that, of course, is from Evita.
Nice.
Everyone knows
Ding, ding,
that.
ding, ding. All right, moving on. The next one.
Better to be the dog and the long and the kite and the light and the 3 and the bee and the cow and the plow and the drum and the plum and the coat and the boat and the bird and sky and tree and the deep blue sea. Don't be anything less than anything you can be.
Sounds like a nursery rhyme. Is it the Stephen Sondheim one?
No.
Oh,
Want to give
man.
another guess?
Well, yeah, I'd like a hint.
All right. This was a famous comic strip, and you could see it in the Sunday newspaper turned into a musical, but there was a trick question because everyone will assume it's You're a Good Man,
Charlie Brown.
but it's not. But it's the same characters.
Whoa. The Snoopy play? I don't know.
Yeah, it's Snoopy.
What? Snoopy, all right, good. That was really a tricky one.
That was a trick one. We want to keep you on your toes. Okay, here's the one for all of them. So let's play this last one, see if you get this one.
All of my life I depended on you. How do you think that feels? All of my life I depended on you in this hideous chair with wheels, scrounging for scraps of pity to pick up and longing to kick up my heels.
Wow. Is that sung by a character who's in a wheelchair?
Yes.
Glee? From the television show Glee.
No, close.
Well, there was a character in Glee who was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Was not from the show Runaways, was it?
No, Elizabeth Swato's Runaways?
Yeah,
No, I wish. I love that musical.
I like that one too. Let me think. Characters in a wheelchair. You gotta give me another hint.
Okay, her sister is the Wicked Witch of the West.
I would say Wicked. Is it Wicked?
Yes, it's Nessa Rose sings that song because she's in a wheelchair.
Oh, I didn't know. Have you guys seen Wicked?
No.
I haven't seen Wicked either. All right.
There you go. And it's a trick question because that song is not in the album because they cut it out. So
Why so many trick questions? Could you have started with like an easier? Whatever. I enjoyed the game, and I'm
fan of the world. You like the fine arts. I thought you might know all these.
I like
Okay,
it.
how about this one? If you get this one, you win the whole game. It's the last one. All right, how about that?
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with a soul so heavy and never float. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking, you're rocking the boat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat.
That's a very Ethel Mermanish way of singing it, and that is obviously from Guys and Dolls, one of my favorite plays.
We got a winner!
Hey.
Congratulations! You won. It was a team effort. All of you won together. Let's show them what they won.
Oh, good, we got something.
That's right. The original car from Greece. Rules and conditions apply. Shipping not included. Must be picked up at Temperate Lake, New York by June 8th, 2020.
That's very funny.
You got to pick it up by June 8th, though.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be happening. Okay.
Oh, that was it. That was the game. You won. Everything is amazing. Anything you want to tell the What We Do in the Shadows fans?
Just that it's been great reading their tweets and their like comment board notes this season. It's fun. The writers and I, every Thursday after the episode airs, we spend about an hour or two talking about what people said about the show, and it's fun. Even the people who are complaining about something, it's enjoyable to hear what they have to say.
It's always good to be part of the conversation.
Yes.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much, you guys, for joining us. I'm going to say good night. Everyone say good night to Paul Sims and family. Good night.
Good night.
So, farewell.
Wiedersehen, I do.
I'm super excited for our guest. Oh, if you've ever seen the show and thought, how do they do that? That looks so cool. Is that real? Well, this is your man. So without further ado, please give it up for Bob Munroe.
Hey, Harvey. It's so good to see you again. It's been way too long.
Way too long. What have you been up to?
I've been cutting my hair a little bit. As you
Yeah.
can probably see, that's a change. But yeah, still finishing the episodes. We've got 2 more to go to air, and we're, believe it or not, still working on the very, very final one at this moment.
Oh, I believe
yeah.
it. I just finished doing ADR like 2 days ago for it. For people who don't know that, it's automated dialogue replacement. That's ADR. But speaking of working, how did you get started? How did you get into this world?
It's a kind of a long, convoluted story that I'll try to make short so that people don't tune out. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree. I grew up in Florida, decided to move to Canada to take fine art school. Fell in love with a young woman at school. Was planning on going back down to Florida after I graduated, but because she lived in Canada, I stayed. And after graduating with my BFA, found out about a program just outside of Toronto at a school called Sheridan College that was doing computer animation. And when a colleague of mine said, "Hey, would you consider applying for this?" I went, "No, I'm a purist. I paint. I'm a photographer. I sculpt. I do printmaking. I don't make art on computers." And I said, "But where's Sheridan College?" He says, "Oakville, Ontario." And that's where my girlfriend, who is still my wife 35 years later, lived. So I decided to apply, and I got in, and it was like a duck taking water. I just couldn't believe how fast I took to doing, computer art. And this was before Hollywood discovered computer animation and visual effects. It was back in the early 80s. So I lucked out in that as the world figured out what visual effects was and computer animation was, I went along for the ride, and that's how I am here now today.
Wow, so you really started from like the floor up, like when it was starting to like take off, you were already on board, and you're like, "Let's do it, let's go."
Yeah, it was kind of back in the days of when you were let's say, for example, a race car driver. You'd have to know how to build your own car. You'd have to know how to lift up the hood and fix your own car. Those were those days. There wasn't anything that was handed to us and where they could say, do this with this. There was no this. You had to build that and then do it. So yeah, it was very early days.
That's awesome. I mean, working on the show, like I know on set you always say this, and I don't know if you say this to every set you've been on, but you say you love working on the show. It's like your favorite thing. And why do you think that is? Why do you say that?
Okay, well, this show is different. Shadows is very, very different. Now, I've had a lot of good experiences. Mm-hmm. And a lot of great movies that I've worked on, and TV shows that I've worked on, and lifelong friends, and everything that you could possibly imagine that is positive about working in this industry. But with Shadows, between you and Matt and Natasha and Kevin and Mark, every day was like going to a comedy club. I laugh. One of the things you can't do on set is laugh out loud while we're rolling. You can't cough out loud. You can't laugh out loud. Sitting next to Kyle Newacek, He laughed more than anybody. The director, he directed many. He was in belly laughs during takes, and rightly so, because you guys are just so hilarious, and there aren't any. There are no takes that are identical to another like you would do on a different type of show. When I do say that I love being on set, I really meant it. I love being on set. Every day was like going to a comedy club, and I looked forward to every moment. And we had not only fun, listening to you guys and your improvisation with each other, but I also knew that I was going to be creating really cool effects to help it later on. So yeah, it is really fun.
There's we have actually some before and afters that we have. We can roll those. You could talk about these as we see them, but there's some really cool stuff this season and some stuff that hasn't even come out yet, but we have. Let's see this first clip.
All right.
I got you this.
So this just happened.
Your little beat off pillow. Aww.
So it looks so easy breezy, right? And then now we see that we're attached to harnesses.
Yes.
Here we go.
And there you go. So all that stuff had to be removed. All the crane, the wires, the lights, all that.
Everything.
Everything.
Now we have what a final product looks like. So this is what it looks like when the audience. There it is. There's even a moon back there.
Moon back there. Exactly.
That's really cool.
Little known fact, that was right outside of our studio. Most people wouldn't know that, but our studio, if you're looking at the camera right now, right behind your back, that's where our studio is.
Yeah, we make with everything that we have, like all the space that we use. Yeah. How long did that take to remove that crane and to add that moon?
In terms of person days, I would say probably about 4 to 5 person days to do that. Wow. Because you have to do something.
When you say person days, what do you mean?
What's that?
When you say person days, what do you mean?
Like an 8-hour day for an artist.
Okay.
So
4 8-hour days.
Yeah. So I'm saying person day, so I'm gender neutral. But it's 8 hours times 4, so 32 to 40 hours for somebody.
See, if I did those hour and actor days, and I'd be like, it's like an actor day, what to me would be anywhere between 12 to 15 hours.
Yeah, that's correct. On set, that's a different thing. Yeah. In post, it's 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it sounds like a long time though. How about this scene right here? We have this one as well. That is the jumping out the window.
Yep.
With Veronica.
And you, badass Guillermo.
That wasn't in the script. I wasn't supposed to flip anything.
Yeah, but it was perfect. It was just effing perfect, dude. So that was probably because we thankfully, when we were on location at the real house, we got up on the balcony of the real house and shot plates of all the trees in the background and all that. So we were able to comp that in. So that was probably a 2-day job for an artist. That one was much easier.
Here's the final product with the trees right there. So you didn't see the trees before, now you see them. They're right there, and I fall out.
Yeah, and the one thing I do want to point out is everybody might be looking at this and going, oh, for people that are in visual effects, oh, look at all the green spill. They didn't remove the green screen properly.
That was a light.
It was a light. It was a blue screen behind you, not a green screen. That was a creative choice to make it green.
That was the light actually that was outside the greenhouse, outside that mansion that we were shooting at.
Exactly, that's right.
And so I know this was like the day where, there's me falling.
This is I had so much fun filming this and showing you. I love your expression when you get up, coming up here in a second.
True, I did my own stunt.
You did your own stunt, and you're so happy about it. Look at you. Yay!
Go get the camera.
I was so happy. Also, I didn't know that we were still rolling.
Exactly. We're still rolling. Look at the camera.
And I was so excited. And we did it.
Yay! But yeah, that's the green light that was lighting you. That was not the blue screen.
Yeah. Was that difficult to shoot that plate? And also, remember that day that we actually fall into the bushes? It was snowing really hard, and it became like a winter wonderland.
Yeah, it was a continuity issue. So if you take a look at that scene again, you'll notice that there were a number of shots that didn't have any falling snow in them, and we added falling snow.
Yeah,
so we had to basically do that as a continuity.
If you weren't there, you would have not realized it. That you wouldn't notice the difference, because it'd be like, oh, it's a snowing, but it's not. Yeah. Like it's really kind of like really nice snow that came out. Yeah. We have another clip over here, do we?
Oh, the troll.
Troll. So there's the troll, how it looks without and then with. And the lighting, I love how you could just, the light also hits it from the side, like when it's coming out of the darkness. How long
Yeah.
did this troll take?
That took that took a couple of months. A team of artists, probably 4 or 5 artists, a couple of months to do that scene.
A couple of months, 4 or 5 artists.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. It's like, who came up with the idea of how the troll would look?
That was Paul Jones. Paul, our prosthetic makeup guy, he gives you, well, not you, but gives everybody their, vampire teeth and.
Yeah, this is all natural. What are you talking about?
So yeah, Paul was he designed the look of the troll, which was great. He also designed Carol in two. Yeah, the troll was a little bit more endowed there in his design. Than, we called him back a little bit, just a little bit.
His cup run is over. That's
but
the
Paul,
motto.
Paul also designed. What's that? Sorry.
I love this, like the spinning, like the design.
Yeah, that's called a turntable. You get that whenever you build an asset in the computer. You do a kind of a neutral lighting turntable so that we can all take a look at it and go, okay, that's the basic model, great. So when I got that, I sent it right away to Jermaine, and he took a look at it, went, looks great, excellent. No, he had one note, and that was to add a little bit more of the polyp stuff on the shoulder. That was the only note. But yeah, so Paul Jones.
You got me worried when you said he had a note just to add a little bit more, and I was like, oh no.
Well, I mean, I do have a very funny note about that, but I'm going to go back to Paul Jones one second. He also designed Carol, the vampire, in what ended up being
big
episode
white
207. But he designed her too. All right, now back to the troll. I came up with an idea that was even a little too risque for Jermaine, which I thought was kind of fun. So I'm looking at the scene one night, and it was like probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking at the part where the sun comes up and he turns to stone, and I thought, what about if we took the dangly bits and went when he turned to stone? And even Jermaine goes, no, I think that's pushing it a little too far.
Maybe. I think that would be a little, I think it breathes on its own.
Yeah.
It's its own thing. You're great. You're fine. Okay, great. Now we actually have some really cool questions for you. So we have some fan questions that I want to pass on to you, if you don't mind.
Please.
Here we go. This one's from Gracie.art. And they asked, what was the more tedious effect that you've done so far for the show?
Well, I'm going to answer that 2 ways. The biggest challenge we have, and I'm not kidding, is, and it's very, very difficult, is breath removal for the vampires. Because we're shooting outdoors in Toronto in November, December, and when Matt and Kayven and Natasha are breathing outdoors, you get big puffs of breath, and we have to remove those because they don't have breath. They're dead vampires. You, on the other hand, can breathe. Even though on a couple
breather, so I'm like, just
even though on a couple of occasions when one of my vendors removed one of the vampires' breath, they also removed yours. I went, no, dude, this guy can keep his breath. He's okay. He's actually still alive.
That would have been scary if the guy said, I didn't remove his. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it would be, exactly. But I think in terms of complexity in shooting and the final product, it was ghosts. That was because we had to shoot everything for the most part at least twice. So every time Matt would be interacting with his ghost version, or Kayvan with his ghost version, and horse Jahan, Aspam Jahan, we had to shoot everything twice. So we would get let's say Natasha talking to her ghost in the library. We had a stand-in wearing blue LED strips in a ghost costume, and we would shoot that. The blue LED strips would cast blue light on the set and on Natasha, and then we would shoot all those scenes. Then the stand-in would go and get into Natasha's normal costume, and Natasha would get into the ghost costume, also wearing the blue light. And we had to shoot it twice and match and marry those up every single time. So on set, it basically doubled the shooting time. Plus, we had costume changes in there. So that also added to the time.
I made for
And then-
long days.
They made for very long days. And then at the very, at the end of it in post, when we put it all together, it was not trivial. It was 200 shots in that episode, which to
Wow.
put that into perspective, another show that I did in the past was called The Expanse. And that's an hour-long science fiction drama that we averaged 200 visual effects shots per episode on that show. This show, we're averaging 100 visual effects shots for a half-hour show. So if you prorate that, it's the same number of shots
Same.
for a half-hour comedy on FX. So when you get to 200 for an episode like we did with Ghosts, that takes its toll.
Yeah. No. Wow. I didn't know. That's amazing. Like, that's crazy. I mean, you have to say the network and the show go full out for anything special effects, to make it look as real as possible, and it just looks grounded in a way where it's like, that's a ghost. That looks like that could be a genuine real ghost, and that's time and money and effort and budget and all that. So yeah, I think that's great. Wow, 200.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, moving on to the next question. And
that's about 10 shots per minute, by the way. 10 shots per minute of screen time.
Oh my God.
Okay. So anyway, continue. Sorry about that. I interrupted.
This one from Gioardio. Which practical effect and which digital effect have had the best end results for you and your team so far?
The talking doll.
The talking doll?
The talking doll. So again, Paul Jones, designed the doll. It's puppeted. The eyes are puppeted, but it does not have a moving mouth. And so, Natasha did the ADR for that, brought it in, animated the doll mouth, and it's pretty seamless. And the doll is a favorite of so many people. They just want to see that doll back again and again and again. And it's cool. And it even freaks out some people who have a doll phobia, which makes me laugh that it even takes them to the next level of their phobia. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at somebody suffering, but it is, it's that effective.
It was really creepy on set. I only got to meet the doll once. They were very private, and they up close is kind of like like I don't want to be around it too long. Which actually, that was actually another question from Cheddar Cheese Girl. She tell us how they made Naja's doll. She's amazing.
She is a porcelain doll. There's one. Like it's not like there's a library of them.
Is there one, or is there like one that's porcelain, and then is there one that they use for like just as a double?
Oh, there's a stunt one, like a stand-in one. Yeah, but that's not as detailed and as finished as the picture doll. So yeah, there's a stunt doll, and then there's the picture doll, and there's I think you went through this process. You got scanned in the truck, right? At one point, did you get scanned?
I didn't. No one scanned me in the truck.
All right. Well, we scanned Matt and Natasha and K-Van, but we have a scanning truck that comes to set, and I had to get Mark Hamill scanned. And because we had the truck there, I also needed the doll scan. So Mark went in, did his scanning thing, went out of the truck, and the doll was then driven to set. It's when we were shooting the Jackie Daytona episode up at the bar, and they brought the doll to me so I could get the doll scanned, and I was told that I had to drive it back personally to the office. So I literally put it in the seat of my car, put the seat belt on, the whole bit, because they said, if you break it, all hell will break loose. Like, this is the only one we've got. You cannot mishandle this in any way, shape, or form. So I was more careful with that thing than I am with my own grandson.
I don't think you should admit that out loud.
I guess not, probably not.
No grandchildren were heard in the making of this show. That doll is very priceless. I mean, it's a really intricate doll. So I can't wait to see it come back. Like, hopefully they bring it back in future episodes. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay. So here's another question. Because you've worked with a lot of great directors. It's funny because you work with another Guillermo, and you're good friends with Memo, if I may call him that.
You may. Everybody does. And
Smiley Kimali asked, is there a particular director you would love to work with?
Yeah, because I mean, I probably don't have the opportunity anymore because I don't know how long this person will be around, but I would love to work with Martin Scorsese. He directed my favorite film of all time, Raging Bull. and I would love to work with him, but I've never had the opportunity.
Well, there you go. I mean, you could always revisit and visit old directors that you love working with as well, you know?
Yeah, and it's really funny. A dear friend of mine is Norman Jewison, and I've never worked with him, but he's a really good friend. You know, he's getting up in years, so I'm, you know, these you know, astute, august directors that you know, I might not have the chance to work with. I'm kind of regretting that I haven't. So yeah, there are a couple.
There's still time. You can still do it, Bob.
All right.
You're gonna do it. You put it out in the universe. I'm doing it. Put it out there. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. And you know what you're gonna do next? We're gonna play a little game here called Zoom Doom Zoomed In, Zoom Zoom Zoomed In, is where we show a still from one of the projects that you've worked on, because you've worked on a lot. Now you have to guess what project it's from. Are you ready?
Oh boy. Okay.
All right. Let's get the first one on, please. Can you tell where that's from?
That's The Expanse.
Whoa, that's good. Let's see it. Zoom out. And it is. Good eye. Okay. Okay, next one. Let's see the next one.
Oh boy. What We Do in the Shadows? It looks like
it is. What We Do in the Shadows. And
okay.
It's Laszlo's Ghost.
Come on, you can't try to fool me like that. That's okay. All
No,
right.
we will. Let's see this third one.
Oh man.
Do you need a hint for this one, or you think you got it?
I do need a hint from this one.
Let's say that there is a letter of the alphabet in the title.
Well, there's a letter of the alphabet in every title.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Letter
There's
of
a
the
letter.
in the title.
A letter.
I'm drawing a blank.
Mutated gifted children.
Oh, Splice? No.
No, let's show him. Zoom out. It's X-Men.
Oh, oh, I see what you mean by letter in the okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
There's
okay.
a letter.
That's bad on me. I apologize.
All right, let's show the next one.
I do recognize that. It's not The Expanse again, is it?
No.
No.
Do you want a hint?
What's that?
Do you want a hint?
A little hint, yeah.
There's cloning.
Splice. No. Alter Carbon.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it.
There we go. It's the city. All right. Yes.
It's a couple of guesses, but we'll give it to you.
World. Got it.
We're gonna give it to you, Bob. It's okay. Don't worry about it. All right. Here's your last one.
Hmm.
Do you want a hint?
Please.
This movie has a dolphin.
Well, it's not Dolphin Tale. Oh, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, good job. Ding, 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 ding.
Because I also did the Dolphin Tale movies too, man. Come on.
I know. That's what we're trying to throw you off when we said there's a dolphin in this movie.
You did throw me off, but I corrected myself very quickly.
Yes. And you technically got them all with a little bit of help, even though some were not right on it. So let's show him what he's won. That's right. You win a weekend at Xavier School for Gifted Children. Rules and conditions apply. Must redeem by June 2020.
Okay, so I got a week. Great.
Yeah.
See, what I needed was my little friends here. I needed my little friends to help me.
Little Guillermos.
A friend of mine sent these to me after we wrapped, and I needed these little guys to help.
Those are awesome. Though I love those. Actually, the artist who did those, his name is Elvis, and he has a really cool Instagram. It's called Elogram. So people should go follow that artist. He's really cool. Awesome. So you won. You have to redeem that gift. You have like a week, so you have to get it. So that's you won the game, Bob.
Yay for me.
Well, Bob, it's been so great having you on the show. Is there anything you want to tell the What We Do in the Shadows fans?
Well, number one, very excited for the third season and hopefully many, many more. And I've got, I actually brought a couple of props with me. Like, for example, Colin Robinson's briefcase from episode 205. And I've also got the cocktail shaker from Jackie Daytona's cocktail shaker from 207.
Ooh.
So if people want to see, pictures of props and things like that, and more insights, I'm very active on Twitter, very active on Reddit. Look me up, and I'd be happy to keep the fans engaged because without our fans, we're really nothing. So they're, whatever I can do
I love that. Is there anything else about the props that you want to talk about? I know that Mark Hamill, we just had him on the show, and he talked about this blade or this actual prop from the movie they used, like I guess it was a knife or a dagger, and he got to use it in the show, and he got to keep it. So it was kind of like a cool little present. Is there any cool props that you've come across that you're like, this is amazing? Like this is like from maybe another project as well, like other past projects?
Oh yeah, so like The Expanse, for example. In the first season, there's a very important moment where the crew of the Rocinante discovers where the origin of this thing called the protomolecule is, and it's in a cold storage cylinder built into into the deck of another ship, and they pull it out and take it away from that ship. I've got that in my garage. I've had that in my garage for years. So like, if you're a fan of The Expanse and you know what the protomolecule is, the origin of the protomolecule is here in Ancaster, Ontario, Canada, in my garage. So that's one of the coolest.
Are you going to open a museum, Bob? Like, I feel like you're going to open a museum, like it's like the shows that you've worked on, and it's just going to have all like different props.
I have enough to do that, and I've actually donated a bunch of stuff to film museums over the years.
Aww.
The cowl from the movie Spawn, the motorcycle. We had that at my former company because we did all those shots. And so the plastic or fiberglass formed cowl donated to a film museum. And I've donated wardrobe from the Tudors, another show that I did, donated wardrobe to various places. So yeah, I mean, tons of stuff that.
So how do you come across these things? Are you just like, oh, okay, I'm going to keep this like costume piece, or like you're like, I like that one. Like, how does that come to your possession? For
the most part, it's an as needed basis. So for example, if you remember in episode 207, whatever, it's 206.
He throws it in the air, right? And it flies.
Yeah, so we had to model this in CG. So that's how we did the reflection of it in the mirror. It was a fully CG version of this. So we had to get that from set so that I could give it to the vendor so they could model it and recreate it in CG. Same thing with the Gatorade bottle that Colin drinks with his mind and then throws up back into. Yeah. So we needed that for tracking and what have you. So I just basically ask for them if I think I need them. And more often than not, nobody wants them back. So I just collect them.
So your garage is probably full of like props to the.
Yeah, I just asked my wife. She's not happy.
Well, cool. So everyone should follow you on social media to get some sneak peeks at all like behind the scenes stuff. And once again, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's always great to talk to you, and I can't wait to see you for season 3.
Same here. It's been a blast, Harvey. Thank you so much for everything.
All right. Well, say goodbye.
All right.
Bye, Bob.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Bob and Paul, for coming on the show today. We loved having both of you. As always, we do the show for you guys, the fans. So thank you to the fans for watching us every week. Thanks so much. Oh, and before we go, I want to give out my artist shout out of the week. And this week it goes out from Twitter to Shoobs123, who created this Nandor. So as you can see, a lot has changed this summer. Obviously, we got a new lamp. That was the worst Nandor impersonation I think I've ever done. But that's okay because the art is what speaks for itself. So we love sharing your art, you guys, on the show. Make sure you use the hashtag Before the Shadows because you never know. It might end up on the show. Artists support artists. So till next time, you guys, take care of yourself. And if you don't do it for yourself, then do it for someone you love. All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town, do-do-do-do. And all that jazz, I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down, do-do-do-do. And all that jazz.